Why is it so hot down on the London Underground? I'm being serious, guys. I was on the tube earlier, coming over here. It was really hot. I was drinking water, taking off my layers. Seriously, what is going on down there?
We know what you want us to say, and we're not going to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't bait us like that.
Yeah, you got us last week.
We're
You can't get us
smarter than
week.
this, Max.
You're learning. So the point I'm trying to make is that maybe there are some dragons, just like in the film we watched, Reign of Fire. So welcome to Crap Movie Club, episode 2. I changed the name. I'm joined by the original writer and creator of this film, Jordan.
Oh yeah, good to speak.
And I'm joined by someone who was into dragons before they were cool. It's Tim, the biggest hipster ever.
I'm not a hipster, stop it.
Yes, you are. So, we watched Reign of Fire, which is another awful dragon movie. I guess I would quickly throw it out to the floor and ask, when did you watch it? How fresh in the memory is it?
I've watched it probably 3 times over the last week and a bit. The last one being yesterday, and I zoned out it pretty hard, so it's a bit phaser.
Super fan.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday for the first time, and I looped in my girlfriend Grace to watch it with me as well to get a second pair of ears, and she tuned out after 10 minutes. So
excellent.
Testament to the film quality.
So I watched it last weekend, which is about 8 days ago, and the last time I'd seen it is kind of a foggy memory when I was a teenager, I guess. So had you guys seen it before?
My first time. I literally devised the plot last week by mistake, but a fever dream.
I think I've seen it absolute shed loads of times. Rented it on, I think, VHS when it first came out.
Nice.
I love this film.
Yeah.
But it's not great.
So for me, it falls into that bucket of... I'm glad I watched it again, because it's definitely a guilty pleasure. I'd compare it to like Deep Blue Sea in terms of many aspects, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely crap, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I came away from this film, and usually when I come out of a film, I either really like it, really don't like it, or have at least some feeling towards it. I came out of that film feeling nothing.
Oh dear.
Just completely mutual.
Just full apathy.
Just I was like, why? What?
So were you disappointed that they took your vision and they ruined it?
I think so, yeah. I think that was the main thing, is that my directorial vision would have taken that a lot further. With the actors as well, that's the thing. It was a good cast. Just let down slightly by everything else.
Yeah, so... On the topic of the cast, what was your favourite aspect? Who's your favourite actor? Because there's so many to pick from.
So, I mean, all of them were very good for different reasons.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's accent.
Uh-huh.
A British person who should be able to do a British accent, hamming up probably the worst Cockney accent I've ever heard.
Yeah, so I think this is one of Christian Bale's first kind of actual films that he was in, and you know his voice when he's doing Batman, like the really deep husky thing.
This is the warm up for this.
Yeah, this is the prequel to that, I think.
This is what got him the Batman role, I heard, just because he was going, I am the dragon guy.
Yeah, it's so overly husky. Every word he says, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he looks so dishevelled. So I actually quite like his performance, to be honest.
I think there's a lot of one of the notes I made yesterday was that I'm surprised if Christopher Nolan didn't watch that film and think that's what I want Bane and that's what I want Batman to look like, because they virtually looked exactly the same. Obviously, Tom Hardy's a lot beefier than Van Zam.
Yeah.
But they've got the same kind of characters.
Yeah. So Mcconaughey is huge in this film. When he gets out of that tank the first time, his tricep is like exploding off the screen.
It's the biggest he's ever been.
It's crazy.
Is it actually him? Is it actually...
Yeah, that is him.
It looks nothing like
him. Literally, I was like, for the first 5 minutes, I was like, it looks really familiar. He started talking, I was like, oh... Because whatever he does to his body, he can't change his accent.
I think he does change his accent a little bit.
I mean,
I
it's
think
still
he gets
definitely
more
him.
southern. He doesn't go, all right, which is disappointing.
Yeah. I think... Yeah, we'll come back to Mcconaughey. But then I guess the third pillar of this film is obviously Gerard Butler, which, again, I think this was before he was quite big.
Yeah, he hadn't started doing rom-coms at this point, which is his entire career.
And he's a bit of a nothing in this film, to be honest.
Absolutely. I'd forgotten he was in it, honestly.
I made notes about how much he annoyed me in this film.
Okay.
And we'll come back onto it later, but he is the worst character.
Fine, I agree. But so Bale, for me, was probably like a 9 out of 10 performance.
Wow.
In terms
Generous.
of Christian Bale performances. McConaughey.
What?
was like-
In terms of Christian Bale
Yeah, I
performances,
thought it was
have
good.
you seen any other film he's ever been in?
Yeah, it's probably it's probably the worst film I've seen him
Fine.
in.
For me, McConaughey was like a 12 out of 10. He came with his A game. He was just crazy. It was almost psychopathic.
Yeah, he's been told to really just go, fuck it, just hand it
Yeah.
up like mad. Just do all weird stuff, and he's
Yeah.
gone for it, which I respect, but it doesn't make it a good performance.
So I was doing some research, and supposedly he went full method for this. And when he showed up on set, everyone had to call him Van Zam. Even if you saw him in town, you had to call him Van Zam. He was in character
So-
constantly, which
This-
is a really weird
the
film.
murderer's
to do this for.
trait.
Yeah,
This is the only film he's gone method for.
yeah,
Brilliant.
What a pick.
Yeah, he I'll comment this a bit later, but he made some of that film like fairly unwatchable. There were bits of it that were so hammed up that I was like, oh, and it kind of takes you out of it a little
Yeah.
bit. I think him and Bale together on screen was at times when they get to peak of each other's kind of levels with the accent and the body. I was like, oh, it felt very alien.
Yeah, I agree. And another little fact for you that I picked out. So apparently Christian Bale beforehand, because it's kind of post-apocalyptic, he really starved himself and became really small because he thought, there's going to be no food in that sort of setting. And then when he saw McConaughey, he was like, what? We have a fight scene together. And then he really quickly kind of tried to bulk up a bit so it wasn't completely ridiculous.
Well, because there's the first scene, he's doing the pickaxing stuff.
Yeah.
And he walks away from camera. His back's pretty big in it. So
Oh,
he
really?
must have clearly thrown on some weight just for that fight scene.
Yeah,
You're right.
I think so. Other notable people in the cast, there's the female actor, Isabella Scorupco. Have you ever seen her before or heard of her before?
Who was she?
She reminded me...
She was the helicopter pilot.
She's the helicopter. She weirdly
Pivotal,
reminded
yeah.
me of... what's she called? In one of the Pierce Brosnan films, there's a nuclear physicist played by, like, a bimbo American actress.
What, a James Bond film?
Yeah. And she really reminded me of her character for some reason. I don't know why.
GoldenEye.
No, not Goldeneye. It's like Tomorrow Never Dies. Or
Fine. So you
second
felt
one.
like you'd seen her character before.
Her
so,
character has been in other... Like,
Oh, her character.
Like
Yeah.
90s, early 2000s
Yeah.
films.
Sassy
Yeah.
pilot. Yeah, I think I've seen it in a lot of films.
Fine.
And she didn't carry it particularly well, let me just say. That's a 3 out of 10 if you wanted my score.
Okay.
Are we talking other famous people in it?
Yeah, there was
Walter
one.
Frey was the guy with the eagle, wasn't he? Or the falcon?
No.
No?
Definitely not.
What?
It is that guy.
No, I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Is it not?
I don't know.
I really
I'm
thought
not
it
sure.
was.
Yeah, I don't think it is. There is, however, someone else from Game of Thrones. The kid who plays Joffrey is in here somewhere. I didn't.
No,
make
he's
it...
in Batman.
No,
He's in-
apparently
he's in
Reign of
every
Fire.
Christian
He's in
Bale
Reign of-
film.
Yeah, supposedly. But no, apparently he's somewhere in there. I couldn't pick him out, but I just read
I mean,
beforehand.
there were like 30 children in it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
there was
one
lots
of the
of
children.
Fine. Okay. The director, Rob Bowman. Ever heard of him? I haven't.
What
No.
else? Do you know what else he's
Loads
done?
of stuff like Baywatch. He did an episode of Quantum Leap and
Quantum
There you
Leap was
go.
such a good show.
That's a good show.
and the Electra film.
Oh, that was not
What?
good.
No,
There was an Electra film?
Yeah. So after Daredevil with
Ben Affleck,
Ben Affleck.
and what's her name? I don't know what her name is.
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner, yeah.
Yeah. There was a spin-off kind of thing about her character. It was really bad. It was worse than Daredevil, which is
Oh,
an
right.
achievement.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, budgets and production. It was 2002 release date, $60 million budget, 82.2 million box office. So better than Dragon Wars.
But that is a failure at the box office.
Didn't
I
Dragon Wars
thought-
make more money than that?
No, well, it made 1 million more than its budget. So it
Which
made
was
100
million.
It's 100 million, so it made more money than
See, I've
Reign of
never
Fire.
understood this. How do you define a failure at the box office? Because this made like $20 million. That's pretty good in my opinion.
So that is just to make the film. That won't include
Marketing.
any of the marketing, which is like
Okay.
normally about the same as the budget to make the film.
Oh, really?
For this kind of like
Fine.
level of film with like these actors in as well. They would have marketed it
Okay.
a lot.
Fine, so that's weird. I can't believe this film wasn't a success because it's got all the
So
hallmarks of a... Fine. So yeah, what did you think? Like we've talked about the cast and stuff, but what about the film itself in terms of tone, pacing, or any standout moments?
I mean, literally, I think I texted you guys yesterday when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't mess around at all. Like, it was like 2 minutes in, there were some awful Cockney accents being thrown around by that kid.
Yeah.
And then there was a dragon,
Yeah.
and everyone's dying, and then that was it. There wasn't like, with Dragon Wars, and I hate using Dragon Wars as a reference of a good film,
Yeah.
but at least they tried to like build up the idea that there might be something going on. Whereas with this, he literally like knocked open a cavern. They were like, what did they say? We
There's
found
a
a
void.
void.
A void. They kept saying void.
Yeah,
It's
what,
like,
what construction worker goes, we found a void down here?
Because they're drilling, so they're drilling into nothing. It's a
Who used the
void.
word for the
I
hole?
imagine-
or
I imagine-
chasm?
I did not take issue with that.
I've written that, that's one of my notes.
No, they kept using the word void, and I imagine that as being like a kind of portal or like a never-ending abyss. This was just a
cavern.
opening, a cavern. So I thought it was quite weird that they were emphasising that so much.
The pacing of the film was just way off. They just ramped it up as quickly as they could, and then it will slow down again, in my opinion. It went 100% and then 0%.
I'm going to completely disagree with Jordan.
Yeah.
They followed the classic way of doing a story.
Beginning, middle, end, right?
Beginning, middle, end. So
Yeah.
they set up, there's dragons all of a sudden. They then set up Christian Bale's the leader of these people. He then has an issue where Matthew McConaughey's like, lot turn up and they're like, we're taking the boys, we're going to go fight
They jump out
this
the
giant
helicopter.
dragon. They jump out of a fucking helicopter to fight dragons. It's madness.
Yeah.
And then you come to a conclusion where Christian Bale, who starts it all, he's the first person to see the dragon, then kills the big dragon. That is literally the perfect story arc.
Yeah.
It's not done well, but
That's what I mean. Like they do that. That's the structure. But they literally introduce the start. They're like little bit of friendly banter between the family. All this stuff just starts happening, and I was like, right, okay, we're in. Like there wasn't any build up to it. I didn't know who these people were. There was no character development.
you don't care about anyone at the beginning.
Also, I didn't figure out that he was the kid for fucking ages.
Really?
Is that supposed to be very clear?
Because you see him writing about the life of what's happened. He's like writing his version of Bilbo Baggins' book, and it shows the kid who survived the first dragon.
Why, mate?
Yeah, he has like news clippings and stuff.
That doesn't mean that it's him.
Yeah, well, apparently
not
it does.
See,
it's not a
you've
giant,
seen this
mate.
too many times.
Yeah.
I have watched it like
From a first-time viewer perspective, it was incredibly confusing as to who was who.
So I think that the pacing was good, like Tim says, because beginning, middle, end. But I think there's almost no incentive to keep watching and get from each part because it's almost like there's what are they fighting for? Nothing. There's nothing left anyway. They might as well just die. And it's so depressing, and they're wearing like potato sacks and covered in dirt. It's like, who cares? Just roll over.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of like Dragon Wars. Christian Bale is the main character. He's the focus of the film.
Yeah.
But a lot of what actually happens isn't driven by him at all.
Yeah.
He's a passenger in lots of it and then has to eventually act because everything fucks up and he's the only person that seemingly can, but he doesn't lead anything.
Yeah, so the female helicopter pilot, can't remember her name. What was her name? Should we just make one up?
Captain Irrelevant.
Captain Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Do you think they fell in love a bit quickly?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So he sees her and then bam, they are down to clown straight away.
Yeah. The span of them meeting in the end of the film is about 2 or 3 days. And at the climax, when he kills the dragon, she comes over to him and says something like, "You always said you would do it, and you did." And I was thinking, you've known him 3 days. How can you say that?
Within this week.
Yeah.
They literally know each other it's for 3 days. There's 2 nights in the film.
It's really dumb.
There's 2 nights in the film.
Once McConaughey turns up, there's only 2 evening periods in the entire film.
What?
One of them's that party they're having.
That's my favourite.
There's dragons everywhere. They light up the castle and they have a
Did you hear the song in the background? Every
was
song in
it?
the background had the word fire in it.
Really?
Why would you do that?
So it's basically like, come and kill us, please.
Come and give me fire. It was literally and actually one thing I did know at the end is that every song in the film that was a real life song had the word fire in it.
Nice touch.
So it must have been a really easy job as like a sound producer just to like
just
go onto
Googles.
iTunes and just type in fire and be like, yeah, found them.
Pretty good. Any other ridiculous bits you want to talk about? The jump?
No, I think save the jump when it comes up in the film.
Okay.
And then really get
I
into
just
it.
remember what that bit is.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
well-
come back to that.
Fine. What about the concept of falling out of a helicopter to fight a dragon? Do you want to save that as well? Or
I
can
think
we
this...
pick that apart a little bit?
Okay, let's pick it apart a bit. So they fight the dragons with nets,
Yes.
which doesn't really make sense because the nets they fire from the gun they have to the size of net it fires wouldn't cover the entire dragon's wing, so it would just be over a bit of the dragon's wing. So why is that stopping it doing
that was
anything?
what was happening. It was going on one wing, then the dragon's like just flicking it off.
Yeah.
Like, what was why did they think that was effective? And why were they throwing humans down there as well as bait?
So what's the point of the triangulation devices?
So that's so they can see where the dragon is, because obviously the dragon's got better eyesight than them, and they're
Right.
flying through clouds. Although it wouldn't always be cloudy, so I'm not entirely sure. So they can pinpoint exactly where the dragon is. But the guys flying have like a little thing on them to tell the system where it is. The dragon doesn't have one of those, so how's it picking out the dragon?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just
I
don't
thought about
I
understand.
think it was a bad plot
I
point.
feel like if you fly up in a helicopter and jump out of it and the dragon comes to get you, why do you need the triangulation devices? Like,
Yeah, I found them. They're chasing me and
Yeah, exactly.
trying to burn me. I think I've
Yeah.
got them, guys. Don't worry about the
it
triangulation.
was a weird system.
The helicopter, when she was up in the clouds,
it's
she was like,
like-
I can't see anything until that last triangulation came and she was just whizzing around.
I swear they don't go that high.
No.
Helicopter. They were like in the stratosphere.
Yeah, they fell for about...
They fell for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, and there was clouds all the way to the ground, and we've all been on a fair amount of flights. The level of cloud is never that thick.
It's dragon smog.
Yeah.
It's dragon smog. Unfortunately, there's your plot
Okay,
point.
here's another good point. So, Tim is the resident visual effects expert.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we had Dragon Wars last year. So how...
Last year.
Last week. So how was the special effects in this movie? Did they do a good job?
So at times, they're actually not bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm the resident expert on this all of a sudden, but I'm
Okay.
really getting into it. So at times, they're really good. So that opening bit where the dragon climbs up over the lift,
Mhm.
if they didn't show the really shit close-up of the dragon...
Yeah, of
it's
its
actually-
face as it
it's-
comes
yeah,
past. Yeah.
It's actually quite ominous because it's just a black shape coming through some smoke. It looks
Yeah.
alright. And at the end, this is clearly where they spent a lot of the budget on the dragon because it looks probably the best of any of them at any point in the
The
film.
end scene, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fire that happens, that the dragons are breathing...
It's like a GIF.
Yeah, I think I could just draw that onto the
Okay.
film they're filming it on to make it look better. than
Yeah,
that.
I thought when it was flying over the kind of military convoy and flaming it as it went, I thought that was okay.
that scene.
It made sense that only
hate
he
that scene.
survived and everyone else died, but
No,
the special effects looked okay.
but he survived by lying under a tank.
Yeah, he just
Surely
hid.
the guys in the tank are okay.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
yeah. If he's okay, they would be okay.
Yeah.
I think that they did a good job because pretty much every time you see the dragon, there's some kind of like weather effect, like fog or smoke or ash or something like that. So it's kind of obscured or it's going past really quickly.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
covers up.
So
the
it
fact
covers
that
up
you
the
can't actually do a
frailties.
dragon that well.
Yeah, the only bit where you properly get to kind of come face to face with it is towards the end, and I think they kind of earned a bit of kind of shitty CGI by then, and
Yeah.
I could put up with it. And it's a split second, then it gets blown up anyway. So
Yeah. I don't think it was particularly groundbreaking. I think if you think about with Dragon Wars in contrast, it was all fairly good, whereas this was kind of they muddled it together and made it look all
I
right.
thought this was better.
I'd say this is
Dragon
definitely
Wars
better than Dragon
tried
Wars.
too
Really?
hard
I don't
on
think
its-
so.
Dragon Wars had too much going on.
Yeah.
Like, focus your budget on just one or two big set pieces rather
Yeah.
than every third
Focus on
scene
everything.
show some
Blockbusters.
mental giant snake eating a fucking elephant that looks like it's made out of cardboard.
I'm getting the feeling Jordan hates this film the most. I'm in the middle, and Tim is somehow a super fan.
I'm not a super fan.
You are.
You're defending
Got
it.
a Rain of Fire tattoo.
To be fair, before we did this, I was defending it, and I watched it 3 times because I kept zoning out in it,
Yeah,
which clearly means it's not a great film. It's not really holding your attention if you are just constantly on your phone the entire time.
true. I was, because you kept saying that this isn't a crap film while we were reviewing it. I was so ready to defend my stance, but I don't have to.
No,
we can all agree. It's
I've come round to your way of thinking
nice.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, yeah, do you want to get onto the plot and see how it goes? I guess.
Yes, let's do that.
100%.
So I've kind of made notes, so I'll guide us through, but I'll probably need you guys to help out. So we start with only one level of flashback, and it's
Disappointing already.
Yeah, and what year is it? It's like 2008, 2010. Does it say something like that?
No,
What you mean in the first scene?
Yeah. Was it 2000?
Yeah, it's early 2000s.
it is 2002, like the film's
Oh, okay,
filmed
fine.
in, I think.
Anyway, and some kid rocks up to a building site, and everyone's got really over the top English accents, and they're all
He's not wearing a hard hat, though.
no
And
Annoyed me
against
the entire time.
regulations.
And they're making some really weird,
Yeah.
jokes with him.
He,
Like, you going out for a drink tonight? He's
Yeah.
like, no, not this evening. I'm like, what is this? What is this
Yeah.
film?
he's smoking. He says something like, "I thought you was gonna quit," and he says, "Yeah, do you want one?" He goes, "No, you know I'm trying to cut back." It's like no kid has that level of banter with adults.
Yeah.
When I was his age, if a bloke tried to talk to me, I'd be like, just say
Sprint
nothing.
away.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, so this kid rocks up, and all the adults know him a little bit too well. Takes his mine shaft down into the London Underground, and he starts talking to someone who is obviously his mum. And it's weird because we get a whole level of backstory about some sort of scholarship.
Yeah.
Right, so his mum
Ask
takes
your father.
his mum takes the loss of a scholarship that's worth $3,000, she says. So that's
Yes.
$3,000, probably a term or at least a year. Really well. If I lost a scholarship that was worth $3,000, I think my parents would probably try and beat me.
Right, so the idea is that someone was going to pay $3,000 for him to go to school, and
Yeah,
lost
he's
it.
got into school and then he's seemingly done so badly or
Right.
behaved so badly they've taken the scholarship away. Is I think what they're
But
leading
he
towards.
says, "Oh, Dad will pay," or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
ask your father or whatever she
Right,
says.
we never meet his dad. We never find out more about the scholarship.
No.
That never comes back, does it?
Never,
the dad.
ever.
some just filler, just a little bit of filler.
Maybe
plot.
Matthew McConaughey's secret is dad.
Maybe.
Oh,
that would
that'd be
make no
nice.
sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all the other workers start shouting something, and she's the foreman or whatever, and they start. This is when they're yammering on about how they found a void.
We found a void.
Yeah, really weird.
Why don't we put a child in it?
Yeah, he just runs ahead, finds this hole, and then the one man there is like, "Yeah, go on, mate, climb in." Makes no sense. And yeah, he climbs in there. It's basically a cavern, and it's kind of weirdly lit up, and we see some eyes or something, and we hear some breathing. It's trying to build the tension, and he gets sprayed basically.
Then it spits. It's like a llama.
Yes.
Like spits in his
Yeah, it
face.
spits over him. So they explain this later on, that the way the dragons, they get really deep into it, the way the dragon's fire works is that there's two glands, and one is the kind of liquid that it sprays, and the other is the ignition, kind of like a lighter, right?
Yeah.
So I guess for
Like a
some
fire
reason...
breather.
So, like a flamethrower.
Yeah.
So
You
you,
have a-
spit out the fluid, and then you have a little light in it. Yeah. Okay.
So
fine.
for some reason the dragon just sprays that stuff over
bit of
him.
lighter fluid.
And he runs out, but luckily you'll be happy, Tim, that with the regulations being met, there's a washing station where you can wash your eyes with chemicals, so they start doing that. Anyway, flames start erupting and they start running, and they get this really slow elevator that starts going up, and the flames are coming up, and you see the dragon climb out, and it's all over kind of as soon as it starts, really. And yeah, she dies, I think.
She dies, and he's fine.
The mum
Yeah.
dies. The boy, because he can't act to save his life, doesn't react to that at all.
What child can act?
No, I made in my notes all child actors should have been banned apart from Macaulay Culkin and that girl from Matilda.
They're good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
that's
is
it.
good, actually.
Yeah.
Any other child actors?
Stranger
Genuinely,
Things.
Just those
Stranger
two.
Things.
I would say Stranger Things. It's some weak bits.
We're getting too off track.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back in. We're bringing it back in.
Anyway, yeah, so that's the flashback sequence. Really short and sweet. I liked it. Much better than Dragon Wars.
It sets up the general premise that these dragons are pretty, intense.
Yep. And then we get the kind of scrolling news clippings and headlines and shots of what was it? It was like the building.
Is
in
this
New
the
York.
end? There were loads of
yeah.
those clippings, like 10,000 dragons take over London or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and weirdly, Time magazine put out a "This Is the End" publication.
Person of the Year,
Which-
dragon.
Surely,
Time magazine.
Yeah.
Why are they still operating?
yeah, exactly. That was my point. Surely, if everyone's dying, they don't have time to publish this and get it to the UK as well.
Yeah.
Who's reading it?
Yeah. How's he got hold of it?
Yeah, and we see photos of Europe burning and
Yeah,
skyscrapers and stuff like that. Anyway, it's kind of expected, I guess. So yeah, then we cut to modern time, and this is when Jordan got lost and didn't realise that Christian Bale is actually the kid grown up. His name's Quinn,
Yeah.
and he's got a
Quinn.
kind of rough little haircut, and he's with some other blokes, I guess, mining underneath the castle.
Yeah, I don't know why they're mining. I think they're digging out somewhere to be safe from the dragons. 'Cause we
Fine.
see it later on.
And now they talk about that water system for about 5 minutes, which bears no relevance, really.
Oh yeah, because he was an ironmonger.
Yeah,
A
right.
bit. So unnecessary.
Yeah, and they have some argument or something. And I think just before this is when he's acting out Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. In
Yeah,
front of all
good
the
scene.
kids with his
Good
friend.
scene.
So Tim got a bit of heat for saying last week, "Oh yeah, and he does Star Wars," and Tim was doing a hand motion. Actually, it all came true. They do Star Wars. They
I told
act
you, I've
out.
seen this one quite a
They
few times.
pretend they've made it up or something. Then they
Did you write this?
Yeah.
Oh, then they do the prayer
They do a
bit.
little prayer, which is
A bit cultish.
pretty dumb. I'm not going to go through it because it's lame. All right, so then there's a bit where Eddie's stolen the keys, and they're giving a lot of backstory to Eddie. And he's stolen the keys because there's no harvest. He wants to eat the harvest now. He says we're not going to last another year. They're arguing about stuff like that. Anyway, you don't remember this bit?
Is it when they run into the apple?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
so
this is the setup
Yeah,
for
Eddie-
that
Eddie
then
wants to
issue
go
that
to the
Christian Bale
apple.
saves.
Eddie wants to go to the orchard. Christian Bale's like, no, he takes the keys, goes to sleep, and just leaves the keys on the side of his bed so Eddie can take them. And then they go to the orchard. And this is... Jesus, that is loud. What is
I
that?
thought they were banging at first, and I was like, no.
What is
That's
that?
far. It's their washing machine.
Jesus, that's not good.
It's fine. We'll get through it.
Fine, okay. So
Take it out in the editor, Jordan.
Sure, yeah,
Sure,
we've
yeah, we
definitely
can
got
definitely
the
do that.
ability to do that.
Run that through the NASA sound system.
So yeah. Anyway, Eddie and his lads end up going to the orchard, and this is when it kind of, I guess, the first action scene, and it's kind of good. And yeah, they're picking these apples, and there's a dragon flying around, and you can't quite see it, and it's quite cool. It grabs someone out of nowhere.
It just swoops
Yeah.
down, kills one of Eddie's 20 children he seemingly has, because he said he's had a wife, 4 kids buried. He's still got 10 of them with them now.
Yeah, Eddie's been busy.
Yeah.
And that dragon, there's no build up to the death. He just grabs it, just
Yeah,
eats it
I thought that was
instantly.
No,
Right.
he does some. It burns some stuff first.
Does it? I thought that was the first thing it did was eat the child. Because
It's not really a child, it's like a grown man.
you know,
Yeah.
human.
Fine. And then Quinn and a few of the others arrive in like a fire truck, like army thing that they've
Yeah,
converted.
there's 2 fire trucks.
Fine.
One by old Jared Butler
Fine.
and one by Bale. 'Cause
Old Gerard Butler.
They crash into each other and stuff, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a panic. And then there's
Is that the one where
there's
they're
no
like
problem.
reversing into
Yeah,
each
he
other
ca-
and
he ca-
pushing each other down
He
the
can't
road?
work a car because he never hits the clutch even though he's using gears.
Yeah.
That annoyed me.
So the dragon is
Stuck
actually
with
just
me.
not even interested in them. It just wants the field. It wants to like eat the ash. from
It's
the
the ash, right?
field,
They
yeah.
eat ash.
They eat ash.
So
yeah.
all that tension was for
Ass.
nothing. They just start reversing into each other, shouting at each other, like slipping off the wheel.
Another
like,
one of
really
Eddie's
comedic.
kids die.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, he's on the little the fire hose on the
I
top.
don't know
and
he
he
survives. No, he survives. He survives.
He survives.
He's wearing
alive.
Nah,
like a
he's in his
flame-
fire suit.
No, there's
Yeah.
2 of them.
He's in the
He's
retard
in the
suit.
fire suit.
Really?
I thought he did, but then I realised he. See, I've crossed it out.
Oh yeah, fair
It
enough.
says dragon destroys fire
Official.
truck, and now I've crossed it out because you saw it again. It was all good.
Yeah, all in good
Fine.
nick.
Yeah, no worries. They go home to the castle where they live with a bunch of people. They have a drink and they have an argument. It's all a bit boring. Then the radio operator, who may or may not be Walder Frey.
He
Don't
definitely
Isn't.
Probably isn't. No.
Have you googled it in the meantime?
No, I haven't. I just
Fine.
think I'm wrong now.
Fine. So they hear the American voices on the radio. This is when the tanks roll up, and you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, this is where Gerard Butler really gets into the bit that annoyed me about his character the entire time.
Okay.
He starts just making jokes for the rest of the film. All Gerard Butler says until he dies,
Yeah.
he just makes jokes that aren't good. They clearly just he's there to be lighten the mood a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
jokes that just don't work, and he's not very good at delivering.
He's just
There's
whispering
only
them.
one thing worse than dragons. Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like stuff like that, and it's just really bad.
I enjoyed that. I was like, fair enough. That's really cut the tension for me.
Yeah, but the good thing, I don't know if it's a good thing, but he literally just says those jokes. Jesus, your laptop. He just says those jokes for the benefit of Christian Bale. He just says them into his ear, whatever. No one else. He's not interested
Yeah.
in being like,
No
"This
one's
is
Whispering
around.
sweet nothings to
Yeah.
him.
Anyway, so the Americans approach in their tanks and stuff. And the Christian Bale and his mates start getting out all these guns from like all these lockers and stuff, but they've got no bullets or anything. So Matthew McConaughey rocks up, and it looks nothing like McConaughey. And this is the first time we see the beard. And at this point, the beard is full. It's bushy.
Yeah.
It's ginormous. His triceps are huge. He looks just out of this world. I don't know where he's getting his protein from in this post-apocalyptic landscape. But yeah, he rocks up. What were you thinking at this point?
As this whole scene,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be really intimidating. Like Matthew McConaughey's really, it's a tense showdown between the two of them. Is he going to let him in? Is he not?
Yeah.
But McConaughey whispers 80% of his lines, and I know it's supposed to be like a veiled threat. He's like, "Oh yeah, I don't need to bother with you. This is like beneath me. I'm just going to whisper it."
Yeah.
But it comes off. He's kind of like slightly coy about it. It's like, "You're right, mate."
Sensual.
Yeah.
Mm.
His eyes are wide for this whole scene.
Yeah, he looks absolutely messed up.
Yeah,
Could have done, a bit of Aztec sherbet before it.
could have done. Fine. So his name's Van Zan. Van Zan or Van Zam?
Van
Van
Zan.
Zan.
Van Van.
Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
Fine.
Bam Bam, yeah.
Christian Bale. No, something like McConaughey shouts like, "Who's in charge?" Gerard Butler does a little
Another
joke.
It's
I-
you
That's
or something.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's you then, which is called back at the very end of the film.
Nice. Yeah, a little bit. So Bale goes down. They have a little showdown, kind of little dick swinging.
He goes
contest.
down with like a musket.
Rifle, yeah.
It's like it's 5 tanks firing at. I was like,
really dumb. The
Yeah.
thing that annoyed me about this film, right, is that tank is like a quite good looking tank. You never see it shoot its main gun at the
doesn't
dragon.
need to.
I
I don't think they ever use the tank, do
No.
they?
It's the hide under
No,
where people are
it's
breathing
so
fire on you.
annoying.
It's a hiding device.
You would 100% try and use that tank to shoot the dragon. Like maybe you could argue it away that they've run out of ammo or something. They've used it on all the other dragons, but why give us the audience the tank, but not give us the tank?
Do you reckon it shoots a net?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
it's in the artillery they seem to have
No
is
more
nets.
They'd set up some kind of triangulation thing, and the tank
Yeah.
would flip over and shoot a net.
Just turns to a giant net with wheels.
Anyway, whatever. McConaughey wants to refuel his stuff. Bale doesn't want him to, and then somehow he convinces him to by saying he's killed a dragon. He shows him a dragon's tooth, and Bale can't believe it. Fine. Okay, the helicopter lands. They all come into the fort. The helicopter lands, and this is when he meets the love of his life, and she gets out. They drop a little bit of deep lore about how the people who jump out the helicopter are called archangels, and they try and build that up a little bit.
They only have 17 seconds to live after they jump out.
And they're all just standing in the background, like looking awkwardly around. They don't say anything. They just kind of sit there.
Like a really crap 90s boy band.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, all at different angles, looking in different directions.
Yeah. It's weird. And then the bird starts squawking again, which means the dragon's here, right on time. So they launch the helicopter. They put down these triangulators, and they pretend it's a bit more of an issue than it is, because one of them drops a triangulator.
But no, the dragon kills him.
Sure. He drops it or he gets killed. Same thing.
Something happens.
Yeah, and Bale has to ride over on his horse, put it up, and then he kind of calls in on his walkie-talkie, and him and Mcconaughey have a little moment. Anyway, then we get the sequence of the jump from the helicopter, and it's stupid. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit already, but the idea is... So we'll run through it again. The triangulator lets them know where the dragon is.
Yeah.
When they know it, but how? Because it's like such a small thing. They need the dragon to literally fly over like a football pitched size bit. Makes no sense.
I don't get that bit.
Anyway, that lets them know when the dragon's there, and then they can jump out, chase after the dragon. No, one jumps out as the bait, right?
Yeah.
The dragon nosedives after them.
And
Two
the
more
other
jump
ones,
out
they come over the top of that
with the net.
Yeah, with the nets, and they fire the nets after it. How the nets then travel faster than the dragon, I'm not entirely sure.
Like metal nets, I guess, or
weighted.
Yeah.
Dragons are pretty heavy, though, aren't they?
Well, this is a net. I don't know if you've ever felt a net, but they're really heavy. So the idea is they net the dragon, and then it falls to its death, and then Mcconaughey gets to come in and have his like moment where he's like getting off over like killing the dragon with his axe. Anyway,
shoots a harpoon through its head.
Yeah, it doesn't go to plan because the net doesn't work.
It shakes the nets off, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, the net is so small.
And they've been falling for like 2 or 3 minutes at this point, but they're still flying around, and the dragon's like coming out of the mist and killing them.
No, one guy hits the floor.
One guy, okay, so
yeah,
just his little blip on the system.
Because that shot of the dragon's quite cool, where it's like proper swooping after it and then just stops like an actual bird would.
Okay.
And then he just plows the earth.
Nice.
Good avian research there.
Bird expert as well. Visual effects.
Anyway, what happens? How do they end up with a dead dragon?
So Christian Bale then rides around on his horse. The dragon chases it. He comes over a crest.
The crest of the hill.
Oh, sure.
Matthew McConaughey shoots a harpoon.
Not the tank.
Not the tank. Don't use the tank.
He shoots a little harpoon thing, and it literally, Christian Bale kind of like just shimmies out of the way.
Sure.
And it goes straight through the dragon's head.
Yeah, it hits the dragon in the head, or like
chest or something.
Chest, takes it down, and then Matthew McConaughey, as you said, gets an
spits on it,
absolute hard on, and hits it in the head with an axe.
Yes, I feel like, I don't know, he comes in with his axe and hits it a few times. I feel like there would be a better way to do it, but like you said, he likes the old fashioned.
He likes the final blow, doesn't he?
He's up for it.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. So then what happens? I can't remember.
Then they have the rave.
Yes, they have a rave. They light up the whole castle with these flashing lights, strobe lights, spotlights in the air. They're playing music so loud. They're all home. Yeah, like the Americans take ages to get home, and somehow Bale's already in there, like 10 drinks in.
It's like wasted.
And the Americans, Bale comes in, and they're all cheering him and toasting him, and then Van Damme comes in.
Really want to do his accent.
He's really annoyed, and he gives some speech, doesn't he, about like Americans coming.
I've buried so many of my brothers, and you're out here celebrating.
That's actually really good.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And that whole scene was very odd.
Yeah, he makes some kind of like remark about British people or something. It really offended me. I didn't care, but it's weird. They go for that aspect, don't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of British versus American banter.
Yeah. Then Bale flirts with the helicopter pilot woman.
Okay.
Quite egregiously in front of his adopted son.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, was that his adopted son or some
actual
son?
She asks, "Is that your son?" He's like, "Nah, got from a pound." It's like, okay, weird thing to say in front of him.
Yeah.
Odd joke.
Yeah. So what happens? They have an argument, and Quinn Bale says something about how he's buried so many of his friends too. Anyway, then McConaughey goes out and has a big funeral pile for
the men,
people.
and they keep the dog tags.
Yeah,
and he's like, I won't do the accent again. We're going to make a wall out of this when we're done, or something.
Yeah,
so she's going to make a wall. And I was like, there's like 5 dog tags.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of wall you?
Yeah, fine. And they're arguing, and Mcconaughey says something like, I lead, you follow. Anyway, they go back to the castle, and they're arguing, and this is when they get a bit sciencey, talking about how the dragons work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then this is when Mcconaughey says the idea about how there's one male. Every dragon they've seen is a female, and the one male, and they think it's in London. Of course it's in London. And they want to go kill it, and that they need Bale to help, and Bale doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, they need his men, basically, because they lost all their guys when they flew over from America.
Sure.
Yeah.
With their tank. How
Yeah.
can you fly tank?
Wait, was that
over?
before or after that scene where literally everyone but him dies? Must be after.
No, that's before. That's before.
Before.
He gets... Because then they have a big standoff. Bale got jacked for the fight with Mcconaughey, which is the next scene.
Oh, when he's trying to recruit all of his men.
Yeah, he tries to recruit all his guys.
Yeah.
Some of the science that they go through is a little bit wishy-washy. That when he asks how they know there's one male, this is the quote. He says, "We tracked the epidemiology."
Mhm.
I googled epidemiology. It
Okay.
actually is, yeah.
What is
It
it? What
does
is
look-
it? What's the
explains
definition?
Everything that he said.
No, it is about how things migrate around different countries or something like that.
Fine. So I'm making fun of that, but according to Tim, it's all above board.
Because I thought this is going to be bullshit. And
Fine.
I was disappointed.
Fine. Okay. And then this is when Van Zam tries to round up like recruits and stuff outside, and some people, like 4 people, volunteer. One of them is the bloke from the start who raided the apple orchard.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, go, you can die, I don't care.
Yeah, you're useless.
Yeah, you should have been dead already.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, and this is when Bale's adopted son is kind of telling him he's going to go, and he wants to be one of the archangels, and it's all a bit weird.
Yeah, and
this
then
bit.
he says, like, because there's that thing, isn't there, they keep on referring back to, which is like, something about 17 seconds, because that's how long they live, although they fall for about 4.5 minutes from 2,000 feet. It's all very confusing.
It's very confusing.
But
But
he doesn't go.
no,
in the end.
he just appears.
And then they're just all picking apples again. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. So Van Zam goes off with these people, and their plan is they're going to London to kill the bull. Meanwhile, like you say, Quinn and all the others are just stuck there picking whatever apples haven't been burnt to ashes. So does anything else happen at this point?
I have a question.
Yes.
For the people who've seen this film more than once.
Yeah.
Where was this castle?
It doesn't really tell you,
I
but they
think it
talk about
does. No.
they talk about Pembroke and like
Edinburgh.
so I assume it's somewhere fairly north.
Yeah.
Well, so right, okay, because they never really clearly explain that. Because like they're like, we're going to London, but where are they coming from? Like, how are they getting there?
Yeah, they go to London, but they get there in an evening.
They say something about Manchester as well, don't they?
Yeah, Manchester. They lost contact with Manchester, so it's all like northern places they're talking about.
Right. Okay.
Fine. Okay,
Question
so
over.
we cut to Mcconaughey and his tank that he doesn't use, and a bunch of other people, and they're like in a little convoy on their way to London. You see this sign, I quite like this bit. It says London 66 miles. Someone changed it to London 666.
Yeah, it's evil.
Really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get to some village, and it's like been completely turned to ash, and they're looking around, and the dragon's clearly there. And yeah, this is a sequence I quite liked. It's flying around through the fog, and they all don't know what to do really. Like all their training and all the
Yeah, it kind
dragons
of
they kill.
toys with them a little bit because
Yeah.
it does like little shots from all over the
Yeah,
place,
it's-
and they can't see it because it's night time.
Makes that weird noise, and like, and they're like turning around trying to like find out where it is.
Is the implication that this is the male?
Yes,
Yeah, because it's got like it's not. It hasn't got holes in its wings, but it looks like it's
It
got
looks a
holes.
bit
in it.
battered.
Yeah, it looks fucked.
Fine, okay. And then it does like a pass. That they kind of emphasize this later on, but it does one pass on the convoy and like flames the whole thing and kills everyone. But Mcconaughey rolls under a tank and doesn't die basically.
Yeah.
Fine. Then out of nowhere, the what's her name? Captain
Irrelevant. Yeah.
She appears somehow. Even though she was in a helicopter, she just lands it right, and the dragon's seemingly cool with helicopters.
Yeah.
the
No, he likes
dragon's
helicopters.
gone away to go and attack Bale on that lot. I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, she lands, and this is when Van Zam's saying, "Oh, we have to go back because now it's going to go back to the castle."
Oh yeah.
Fine.
Then he goes the castle,
Yeah,
and then they start
exactly.
going back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
I love these impressions. They're spot on. So yeah, he heads back to the castle, and this bit looks quite cool because the dragon's sat on top of the castle, kind of and the castle's on fire, right?
And it kind of
Yeah.
like breathes into it like
Yeah.
a bong. Like gets
A
to the top of the
reverse.
castle and goes like, reverse bong, goes and goes through all of the chambers, doesn't
Yes.
This is where Jared Butler sacrifices himself for Christian Bale.
Yeah.
it? But doesn't at all. He kind of just like wanders outside and the door just
Yeah.
slams.
So they're hiding in the basement, and they've got this sprinkler system to keep them wet and stop them burning to death. And it seemed to be working quite well. But for some reason, Jared Butler starts trying to run back upstairs.
There's still 65 people upstairs.
Okay, that's the reason. And Quinn tries to go, and Jared Butler's like, "No, I'll go." And
Doesn't put much of a fight, does
He
he?
goes.
Like, yeah,
He
He
actually,
dies.
Bale's just like, yeah, go on then, mate.
yeah, see ya.
Don't they do a double switch out though? He comes back and you think he's okay, and then the flames get him.
No,
I
he
remember
like
that?
throws him the fire extinguisher. He goes to walk up the stairs,
Yeah,
and you see a bit of flame just come around the corner. So why the flames wouldn't go straight down anyway. But you see a flame around the corner, so it gives time for Gerard Butler to look back into Christian Bale's eyes and then fucking die.
Yeah.
and Christian Bale doesn't care. Like, there's no emotional reaction.
I think he shouts no,
Right,
but then
fine.
No.
then he's pretty over it pretty quick.
Very quick.
And then he starts going back through that hymn with the kids, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Where he
yeah.
reads the hymn to them. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
And then, how does this scene end? Like, does the dragon just go away?
The dragon goes away, thinks everyone's dead, and then Van Zandt appears again.
He just comes down to the
He
basement.
pulls open the door, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
that's it. Yeah.
And all of his, like, co-people. You know, he's got a couple of other leader types. They're all, like, ripping the door open.
Fine.
Yeah, because the lads in the helicopter are still alive, I guess, as well.
Fine.
So
Okay.
if the woman is, they must be.
Well,
Yeah.
All right. I don't think they are.
No, there's a few other people. It's not
definitely
just
other
Van
people. There's
Zandt.
definitely other
Fine,
people
fine.
with them.
Okay, right. So then they have some conversations. It's all kind of boring, very, very hard to get through.
Yeah.
And they decide they want to go kill it after all, and Bale's in. But and the advantage they have now is that Bale knows where the dragon lives because the one from when he was a kid, that was the
It's
male.
clearly the male.
Yeah.
He's decided that.
Fine, and he knows London. He can get us underground.
He knows
like,
underground networks, which
yeah,
is good.
excellent.
Yeah,
He knows
yeah.
the tube map.
He has
Yeah,
a really he has a really crap line. Oh, the dragon knows it from the air up. I know it from the
Yeah.
ground up.
You know, yeah, it does from the
Air
air down.
down.
I know from the ground up.
Yeah,
No.
sure.
God, that's an awful
Probably
line.
wouldn't actually be relevant. Like,
Yeah.
it's a dragon, but fine.
Yeah.
So, whatever. They get in the helicopter, these three people, Bale, McConaughey, and Captain Irrelevant,
Yeah.
somehow manage to fly along the Thames into the heart of London without any of the hundreds of dragons there.
It's like 1,000.
Yeah.
I tell you what I did look quite cool was like post-apocalyptic London.
Yeah.
Like with the
I mean,
dragon sat
that was,
on top of
that
Big
was
Ben.
just normal London. They just,
Yeah.
Just
no, it did look cool. It did
yeah,
look cool.
on the dragon roosting on top of Big
Yes.
Ben. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they see a bigger dragon eat a smaller dragon. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, they're starving. They're eating each other.
You're real hungry.
Yeah, yeah. So this is when, we get that classic kind of callback, and this time Van Zandt says to Bale, "You lead, I follow." So that's going to be a kind of emotional moment.
Full
but,
circle in their story, although that only happened 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, literally, like
No build up. Just there
the
it is.
previous scene.
Yeah.
But so what's their plan? They go underground. I need to flip my notes through. They go underground. They have a vague plan. There's a bit where they come above ground, and fortunately the male dragon just comes straight to them and wants to get them.
Yeah.
And they run around. They hide in like a tube car, which is kind of flipped over or like on its end, sort of thing. And there's this weird bit where they get out a hip flask, and Van Zandt drinks from it, and then he gives it to her. She drinks from it, and Christian Bale drinks from it, and like spits out and goes like, "It's water."
It's water.
Yeah, I don't know, like
Because
You're
they're
gonna
like
need it.
teetotal Americans. They don't need
right.
alcohol
Why
to be
didn't they
brave
just?
or something.
It was so weird. Why didn't they just say, "Yeah, they will have a drink from some whiskey," and that's it? 'Cause
I
they-
think that's the joke. He's expecting it to be whiskey, and then he's
Right.
like, "Ah, it's water."
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I did this. It's water.
Yeah. So that was this film's attempt at humour.
Yeah,
there you
Right.
go.
that and Gerard Butler's rubbish lines.
Sums it all up,
Fine.
really.
So, what's their plan? They run around. They decide to split up and have the dragon follow them.
So the girl's going to be the bait, I think.
Sure, of
and
course.
then McConaughey's supposed to shoot it with those exploding arrows.
Yeah.
But
Don't they all have? Is it?
No. The two blokes have. She has nothing. She's
yeah,
just
she
running
just gets
around.
to run around with like a broken ankle at this
Well,
point. I think
at this
as well.
point, has she got broken ankle?
She messes her ankle.
Yeah,
she,
so
she has a limp.
She's meant to be like this pretty like badass sort of helicopter pilot military thing, but she does just turn into a whimpering mess at this point. I thought it was a
Because she's not in a helicopter.
little bit.
There's nothing left.
She needs a helicopter.
Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh on her character that all of a sudden she's just bait.
Yeah, like she could have done something.
Nah. Relevant.
Fine.
Yeah, Bale and McConaughey both lose their arrows somehow.
Well, McConaughey's plan is to climb up, attract the dragon, so that then it flies past, and then Bale gets a clear shot. Right?
No, I think what he said was, you got to be in the furnace if you want to shoot in the chest, because just before it breathes.
Right.
He says something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
'cause it does the-
it kind of spreads its wings, and then you've got to fire it into its chest, because it's like a...
Is it chest or the mouth?
It's
He does say chest.
He says the chest, but then
Okay.
that is not what happens.
Fine.
Yeah.
Chest.
Yeah. Are we going to completely talk over the bit where they climb on top of the
No,
elevator shaft? That's before this bit, where they climb on top of the elevator shaft that his mum died in. And he has like a weird flashback Do you remember?
Yes, that does
when he's
happen.
heading out towards the square and he stands on it, he starts going like, and like freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Completely blanked that bit from
No,
my
that
memory.
does happen. That
And
does
I
happen.
thought there'd be some more like exposition
No.
there, but then he literally just went cool, and then went back to just going
I
to kill
thought
this
we were going
dragon.
to find out about the scholarship and what
Yeah, exactly.
Why does his mum
Finally,
hate his dad so much?
yeah.
what happened?
No, he just remembers her face. Anyway, so Van Zam's at the top of this watchtower. Bale's somewhere. She's somewhere. This is the actual jump, the famous one. Well, famous, but so the dragon swoops towards him. He misses, and then it does another kind of turn. He's got no arrow or anything like this. This is Mcconaughey. And this is when the dragon hovers in front of him for a moment, starts flying towards him, and Van Zam jumps at the dragon with his battle axe in midair. It's a classic thing. You think, oh my goodness, he might do it. He just gets eaten. It's kind of like the fake out.
Yeah,
He jumps so far though.
he jumps like 18 foot out, and he
Yes.
must be 100 foot in the air.
Yes.
I don't know what he was thinking was going to happen.
Well, if he lands on the dragon and kills it, he just rides that dragon down to the ground. Because, when things die in midair, they just gently glide to the floor.
Yeah.
That's the way things work.
yeah.
Yeah, like
So-
a leaf.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking anyway, I think.
So I was telling you I saw this post on Reddit by someone called Lundgren's Front Kick, and he analysed it, and so he works out that McConaughey jumps for 35 feet and he's in the air for 7 seconds and he doesn't lose any altitude at all, which is completely superhuman and not possible.
With an anime jump.
Yeah, it's nuts. Anyway, it's probably like the moment of the film, to be honest.
It looks cool. It does look really
This
cool.
and the helicopter sequence where they jump out the helicopter, that's like this film personified.
Yeah, that
Not
is,
personified, but
those are two very
Yeah.
like big
The epitome
looking.
of the film, yeah.
sure, yeah.
And then it kind of, for me, it all felt like from that point onwards, it was just a bit like deflating, like what happened next.
Yeah, it's just really quick. They
So
just
it's
run
like-
around a bit more. He runs and grabs the crossbow with the thing. The
Pushes the girl out of the way at one point.
Yeah, but she does bait it. She does a good job, kind of shouting to him. The dragon crawls out from some hole. It's in the middle of like an open street, and it opens its mouth to roast Christian Bale. He's in the furnace.
In
as
the
McConaughey
furnace.
was
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And he shoots the arrow into its head, and its head explodes, and that's that. Pretty
Yeah.
much. And
And
then
that is almost the end of the film, isn't it? Really, because the next
Yeah.
bit is so like, I don't know why they even put it in.
Pointless.
It was
It
so,
really is.
it was so bad.
no, I know why they put it in because they had to make fun of French people.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Yeah, they did. English film made fun of French people.
What did they say?
So they raise their radio mast and they start picking up a signal, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a signal." The only problem they're speaking French, and Bale says something like mildly inappropriate.
Yeah.
So, why do they have to
Surrender
speak French?
monkeys.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But
Got any
it's
cheese?
maybe the J. I guess in the cinemas back in the day, that's when everyone was clapping all the big
Yes. Woo!
Yeah,
Mild racism.
yeah, and then he holds hand. He holds hands.
He's all
he holds hands with the love of his life, and they walk off into the meadows.
4
This
days
is
after
where
meeting
you
her.
have the callback of Gerard Butler going to him, I guess you're the leader. He says it to his adopted son, who somehow has gone from him not trusting him to do anything to being the leader of the gang in probably less than a week.
Yeah.
Which is
Every relationship in this film is
Yeah.
done in
Doesn't
4
really make
days.
This film is like just fast. Everything happens so quickly. It's just All right then. So that's the film, and it's actually pretty good. It's an hour and a half, so it's quite bearable. Better than Dragon Wars, which is like over 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd never watched the film again.
Okay, so Jordan, have you got those reviews that we talked about in terms of the parental advice and people warning their kids about how many swear words and that sort of thing?
While Jordan checks who's got it, what rating is this? Because did they swear?
I don't think there's any swear
I don't think
words.
it's right. I
Maybe
don't
one or
think
two
there's
from
any-
McConaughey.
It's
actual
rated
blood?
PG-13
PG-13.
for intense action violence.
Nice.
But some of these people would beg to differ. So, the first category is sex. So they're broken down to categories of things you should look out for as a parent. The first one is sex and nudity.
Yep.
Many men are seen sweaty and shirtless throughout. There are no inappropriate scenes in the movie, but people do talk a lot about dragons' eggs. So, not
Do
sure
they?
why they need to warn parents about that. There is a lot of dragon-related violence throughout. Most people are burnt with fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, in non-explicit detail, there is a scene where several people try to kill a dragon by skydiving and using various weapons. The scene is somewhat intense, as we've already described.
That's all correct so far.
Yeah, at some point.
There's now a section of profanity,
Mhm.
uses of Christ, arse, bitch, shit, and arsehole. which I don't remember any of that.
I can
Was that
imagine.
McConaughey, do you think?
Yeah, I can imagine Bale saying like "arsehole."
Yeah, he definitely calls McConaughey.
Yeah.
He's an arsehole, isn't he?
Yeah.
And the last one is there is a scene where men are seen drinking. A man is seen smoking most of the time that he's on.
Oh, that's McConaughey. He always has a cigar.
McConaughey.
I don't know that.
Matthew McConaughey.
So yeah, we didn't really talk much about his beard, but it changes multiple times throughout the film. It starts off thick and bushy, then a few minutes
It's
later,
like wispy.
It's like fluff. Like, you know.
Team America. When they stick on the pubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
It literally looked like
and it was
that.
so distracting. Like every scene, like you could see like little hairs like reflecting the light and stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, what have they done?
Do you think it's just because they had to reshoot scenes and
Probably,
stuff like that?
but
So
still continuity.
Get a better fake beard, or just give McConaughey enough time to. Oh my god,
What's happened to
grow
you?
out, cut it off, gone, falling apart.
Was it his beard? Are we thinking it's his beard? Or are we thinking
I
it's...
don't know. Probably.
I think the
who's to
original
know?
one
It's a
is-
mystery.
We'll
The big
find
bushy
out.
one, I think, is him, and then the wispy one is probably a fake one.
Why would you get a fake wispy beard?
Cheap, man.
Cheap.
Spend all that budget.
Got to save some of that budget on the beards. No, it was a very distracting like oddity because he'd like it would it wasn't like there was no consistency either because it could have gone from like bushy to thin from just shaving, but it was like every scene would be slightly different length. Very odd.
Very odd. So there was never a Reign of Fire 2, sadly. It was being talked about at one point, maybe a sequel, and the idea was that his son is now the main character. Bale was gone, probably dead. But if you were seeing as how you basically wrote and created the original, Jordan, if you were coming up with a sequel idea, if you had any thoughts about what could happen?
I definitely haven't had any thoughts. You find out McConaughey's not dead, and that he's actually behind the dragons, and they're all animatronic.
Okay,
There's my pitch for you.
nice.
And it's actually a prequel, and it ends with McConaughey rolling up to the base and him infiltrating with
the tank, and he finally shoots the tank.
And he shoots the tank,
Finally,
and that's the payoff. That's the credits roll.
nice.
There you go.
Fine. So, any ideas for a sequel, Tim?
I quite like Jordan's McConaughey like prequel idea.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a direct sequel, I think The Call from France
Yeah,
is
that's
actually there's another one.
distress call.
It's a distress call from France, and they have to go and save French people. Which, after Bale's derogatory like exploits about French people, I think would really follow him nicely.
That'd be kind of
It
awkward.
should be him cracking jokes about like garlic and stuff the entire time.
French dragon with like a beret.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
Nice, yeah. So there was never a sequel, but there was a video game. And
Was there?
Yes, it was. It was on GameCube and PS2, and there was also a Game Boy version.
Wow.
And in the game, there was two storylines. There's the humans and the dragons. So you got
play as the dragons.
you got to play as the dragons.
It sounds better than the film.
And you played a female dragon, and the campaign is about you're actually trying to kill Christian Bale and all his mates in the castle, and you have to work your way across kind of the country towards the castle, and then there's a big showdown at the end where you're destroying all these turrets and stuff like that. So maybe we should give it a play one day.
Definitely. Yeah, we could do a kind of a episode 2.5 where we play the game.
Yeah. And apparently in the like GameCube version and the PS2 version, the dragons are just like dragons, but in the Game Boy version, the dragons talk to each other and they have dialogue, so that sounds pretty cool.
Excellent.
Pretty trippy. Fine. So, yeah, that was Reign of Fire. Anything else anyone wants to say?
Did we get any reviews down from...
No, I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
No
They
reviews.
didn't no other business.
Yeah, I mean, it has 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience score is a little bit higher, but that's certified. That's not certified fresh.
So should we play higher or lower on that? Whether we think that that's a fair representation, too low or too high? Because I'm happy to go first on that.
I think that's fair.
You think that's bang on?
Yeah.
I'd say that's far too high.
Really?
Yeah, I'd put it 25.
Okay.
I think it's probably on point, maybe a tiny bit low, but I did watch it a lot as a kid, so I think that nostalgia's really biasing my view of the whole film.
Kid Tim had low standards.
Yeah.
I really did.
Pre-hipster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Should we... I think probably third episode will rank them, but I'm going to say this is better than...
Oh, 100%. Way
Dragon
better
Wars,
than Dragon
D-War.
Wars. Way better.
Incorrect. Unfortunately, you can't swim my mind on that.
For one, this actually has dragons in it, not Amugis.
Do you remember the last scene when he turns into
Yeah,
a
the
dragon?
last
A
single
mythical
scene.
dragon? A dragon
He didn't
that
really turn into a dragon.
a dragon
either,
that
though.
flies to heaven.
Yeah.
Any memories of that? Okay. I much prefer Dragon Wars mainly because it knows it's. I feel like it self acknowledges that it's bad. At times.
The final dragon in Dragon Wars D War looks more like a seahorse than a dragon.
Yeah.
That's true. Still think it's better. 52%.
So maybe after the next film, we could do like a wrap up, maybe of like, what's the best dragon, which one would win the fight and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Okay, I like that.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, next film. Speaking of next film, it's Dungeons and Dragons from the year 2000. It was Tim's choice. Tim, do you want to tell us anything about it? Have you ever watched it before?
I've never seen it. I found it literally for this. I watched the trailer and got slightly stressed by it.
Fine. And who's in it?
Jimmy Olsen from The New Adventures of Clark and Lois Lane, which was a TV show about Superman. That's the only person I know who's in it. I don't know his
He
name.
is good in that show.
Yeah, he's the best character. He's the best actor in that show.
Isn't it Terry Hatcher?
Yeah,
As
Terry
well?
Hatcher can't act.
Oh, she's all right. Jordan's shaking his head. No idea.
It was
Fine.
a really good show.
So you've never seen it before. You're just going to put us through it.
Yeah, we're going through it as a group because
You've never watched it?
No, it looks so bad. Like the trailer is mental, and
Okay.
the entire film looks terrible.
Excellent. All right. Well, we will look forward to that. Anything anyone else wants to add, or are we just wrapping up?
I think that's it.
Yeah,
Right. Well, in true Crap Movie Club fashion, see you next time.
just slowly peter out.
Bye.